Okay. Right. First things first, thank you all for coming to our regulatory meeting. Obviously, I'm chairing today's meeting, and you basics, please, for meetings. Please make sure that microphones are muted when not speaking to avoid distracting noises, and obviously, and I'm sure you'll be reminded to mute yourself when you speak. Okay, Helen is helping us from Democratic Services. Legal will be supporting myself, I think. Ian's here. Case officers will be here, and further support from Democratic Services to hopefully allow the meeting to continue. Helen, do you want to just go through apologies?
Councillor Chris Williams sent apologies and is replaced for this meeting by Councillor Dave Shilton.
Okay, thank you. Members, any disclosures of pecuniary or non-pecuniary interests to make? Councillor Parry?
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to highlight, obviously, I am the division member for the main item on the agenda involving the ponds, and I would like to speak on that later.
Certainly, thank you very much. Right, members, have you had an opportunity to read the minutes of the meeting held on the 7th of July? Are there any questions or concerns or matters arising that you wish to comment on?
Move them as a correct record, Chairman.
Thank you very much indeed. I shall do
Second.
that. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed, Joe. And then I've got down here the minutes of the council meeting held on the 23rd of July in relationship to the appointment of chair and vice chair. Any comments on that, please? No?
Chair, just one. The minute shows my attendance, and I'd give my apologies.
Oh, okay. Helen, can we have a look at that, please?
Yes, certainly.
Thank you very much indeed for that. Thanks for that. Okay, before we move into the meeting, obviously, I'm sure we've all heard the sad news about Bob Stevens, who's one of our longer-term councillors, sadly passed away the weekend. I must admit it, when I'm Bill, I wasn't obviously a county councillor, I was a town councillor and I was mayor. And I went to one of the do's at the Shire Hall and we got chatting and we became friends almost immediately. We have both a shared history. He was in the Royal Navy, I was in the Merchant Navy, and so we swung a little bit from the yard arms and we had a few stories to tell about the old days and such like. And subsequent, obviously, I met Bob as a county councillor and he offered me support and help. And vice versa, I was able to help him with his Royal British Legion. I'm a member and such like. So we did build up a good, strong relationship. And it was so sad to hear he passed away so suddenly. I'd just like to say to members, if you don't mind, I'd just like to have a minute's silence just to think about old Bob and what a sad passing it is. So if I could please ask you just to turn your video feeds off for 1 minute and I'll come back onto you. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, members, thank you very much for your forbearance. We haven't done too well as a council recently, have we? For losing some of our members, some long-term members as well. Okay, I'd like to move now into the meeting. Sorry, I've got a message. Yes, we can start live streaming. It's streaming, and you've done that. Thank you. Right. Okay. Delegated decisions. There are none. So, unless I'm missing anything, we can move straight into the planning application, which is SDC/20CC003, creation and management of 2-number wildlife ponds and a butterfly bank on farmland as part of the Warwickshire, Coventry and Solihull Great Crested Newt Conservation Strategy in the Forest of Hearts, Gospel Oak Lane Pathlow. Right, I believe that Paul is our lead officer on this one. Would you like to take it away, Paul?
Hi. Hello. Actually, I'm going to. It's going to be a bit of a double act.
Sorry, Jessica. Apologies.
It's going to be a bit of a double act. Paul is our planning consultant, so for any technical questions, Paul will be able to help. But if I just go through the planning application, just let me share my screen. Right. The planning application seeks planning permission for the creation of 2 wildlife ponds, soil spreading and a butterfly bank from the pond excavations. If I just go through some of the slides. First of all, if I set out the context, this is where the 2 ponds would be created.
Sorry, Jasbir, have you got the right presentation?
Sorry, that's not the right one. That's my patch. That's it.
Oh.
Sorry.
Thought you didn't recognise that. That was the previous one for the Great Crested Newts.
Just hang on a minute. Oh.
That was last year.
Can you see that?
I can.
Can you see agenda item number 3?
No, we got Oversley Hill Farm. Yeah, that's a different one.
Oh, right. I'm trying to share.
Yes, we discussed this one last year.
Yeah, sorry, I've got it on my.
The first plan what came in was February.
That's the one.
All right. Can you see this now? Sorry.
Yes, we can. That's it.
All right. This is the application is, as I said, is the creation of 2 wildlife ponds. It is being funded from what is known as offsetting funding. That's where developments happen, and where there's loss of ecology or wildlife, the developer then pays, and we have a fund. And that fund is now paying for the creation of these ponds and the wildlife around it. It's on land that's owned by a charity called Forest of Hearts. It's a charity that promotes accessible and sustainable, what they call agroforestry or a forest garden. It's an education, volunteering and supports good causes. This is where the site is, and if I just go through in terms of location, we have Gospel Oak Farm Road. Here are some holiday lets. This is the Gliding Club, and this is the Stratford Armorial Museums, and that's Hawkswood Farm. So it's basically a rural area, and the access would be from this track. If we move on to the next slide, what I've done is actually expanded this so we can actually all see it. Can members see the the drawing a bit clearer now?
Yes, we can. I can see it.
Right.
Thank you.
Basically, it's 2 ponds, and the depth would be maximum of 1.5 metres. There'll be a bund here, and there'll be imported material, to create butterfly sort of bunds. And topsoil from the ponds would be excavated to form an orchard, and that'll be done at a later time. It'll be a community orchard. And as you can see, they're fairly small, but they are, the ponds are for a particular purpose, is to promote or to support the breeding of, providing positive environments for the great crested newts. And one of the things that happens is that in terms of the way newts breed is that you can get sort of interbreeding, and so this allows, there are known great crested newts in the area, and this allows them to move, so we get a variety of the genetics and therefore the long-term survival of those of the newts. Turning to planning, the site is within the green belt, and one of the reasons it does require planning permission is because of the excavation and the creation of these ponds, and it wouldn't harm the purposes or the green belt matters. It's in accordance with the green belt. So in conclusion, the proposed development would create suitable habitat for great crested newts. It'll provide good connectivity between the proposed and the existing ponds in the area. It would enhance biodiversity in the locality. The creation and the maintenance of the ponds would compensate the impacts. There will be monitoring of the developments by the ecology to make sure that the intended purposes are being promoted in the area. There'll be a creation of a butterfly bank and enhancement of the grassland, and that would further increase the biodiversity of the area. And in terms of planning policy, the Stratford-upon-Avon Local Plan Policy CS6 development plan does propose to increase the net biodiversity. So in terms of fitting into all the sort of national and local planning policies, this development certainly supports that. And therefore, I recommend that you support this application. If you've got further sort of technical questions, I will ask Paul, who's visited the site, to help on this. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jasper.
Right.
I
have got some photographs that I can show you. This is the access to the site. This is the access looking in. This is where the ponds would be.
Okay.
Ponds from the north. So basically, it's in a rural area that's that would be enhanced there. And that's a hedge along the ditch. And it's back to the drawings, and it would be dug up with these mini diggers.
Okay.
The butter view, yeah.
Right, thank you.
Okay.
The first speaker I have is Dave Shilton. Would you like to ask a question, David?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Congratulations on getting the chair's job, by the way. I never said that to you at the meeting, never had a chance. But I'm sure you'll do a good job.
Thank you very much, David.
A couple of questions. First of all, regarding the ditches themselves, are they going to be feeding these ponds, which I would welcome? That's if the ditches are going to run into the ponds and vice versa and out to taking away a lot of the storm waters on the fields. rather than going into the rivers as such. And the other one is, you say the community orchard, how long will that take to implement? Just the two questions. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Paul or Jasbir, do you want to answer that?
Yeah. Paul, do you want to?
Yeah, sorry, I was just making a note. The first question about the ditches, there's no direct connection with the ditches, so effectively it's going to be surface water runoff from the field itself. Second question about the community orchard, which is that green hatching on the left-hand side of the plan that's currently being shown. When I spoke to the landowner, she was actually going to physically move that orchard over towards the northern part of the site because she wanted to increase tree planting on the northern side rather than on that western side. But normally an orchard takes about 10 years to develop. So, but it's that's about as much information I've got. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you, Chair, for that. That's what I'm saying, you know, because you said there'll be some time before it's planted, because orchards do take some time to develop, and 10 years. So, you know, to get it planted sooner rather than later, and I'm surprised that the plan isn't complete, because if it's going to be moved, we're looking at a different development.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, that's not part of this application, is it? We are talking about the ponds for the great crested newts. Is that correct?
That's right, yeah. I mean, effectively, it's just indicative. It's just an illustration of what they're going to do. They've included it for the purpose of connecting. Primarily, it's the soils. The soils from the two ponds are going to be spread over that area to make sure that it's suitable for tree planting. That's really where the connection is. The future development of the orchard will be undertaken by Forest of Hearts at some point in the future.
Okay.
Okay, I accept that.
Thank you. Councillor Riley's next.
Thanks, Chair. It's not so much a question about planning, but it's a question about the process. And reading the papers, the county council are the applicant, albeit that 1.2 refers to the Forest of Hearts. Can I just ask why the county council are the applicant on this application and not the Forest of Hearts?
Jasbir.
Oh, sorry. Basically, because we're funding it, it's to make sure that the funding that's been collected from the offsetting, that it's spent for the purposes, and so in terms of running the contracts, etc., we'll be undertaking it rather than giving that money to someone else to make sure it happens from A to Z. And there'll be a management agreement for 30 years with the landowner, so that it's not free. There'll be a commitment and a proposal to make sure that this continues rather than it just becoming someone get sort of free money, basically.
Okay. Yeah, follow-up question, Councillor Riley.
Yes, please, Chair. Can I ask them what the democratic process is for identifying sites like this? Because I've never seen anything in Warwickshire County Council's regulatory or other bodies where they propose to identify and develop sites for offset from the biodiversity land bank, whatever it's called. So how? Not that I have any objections to this application, Chair. I'm just interested to know more about how sites are chosen, because clearly there are a whole series of sites across the county that would benefit from similar projects.
I agree.
I can certainly find out, the process of those and inform you from David Lowe. He's got, as I said, a lump of money that has been collected, and how they allocate or identify sites. I'll certainly find out for you.
On that particular point, yeah, thank you. That's a good point, Councillor Riley, because the previous slide that erroneously got put up was about 2 or 3 ponds in my patch, which we discussed last year, and that was brought forward by, again, I think it was Offset. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's correct.
So yes, it was another one of those elements that was brought forward. Yeah, so it happens, but perhaps we could try and encourage more to do it. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, Ian, you want to say something?
Yeah, I have had some discussions with David Lowe and his team about how they spend the money they gather from developers, because we write the conditions and requirements into the Section 106 agreements. They maintain a list of willing landowners who will let their land be developed for these offsetting schemes. And they're always keen to take new landowners onto their list. So if you want to talk to David or his team, I know they're always on the lookout for willing landowners. When they have a scheme, they try, when they have money, they try and find a site for the offsetting which is as close as possible to the development that yielded the money and which is being mitigated. That's not always possible. Sometimes they might have to go to the other end of the county to find a site, but they start with a search area which is in the vicinity of the site that is the development site that is being mitigated. It's quite a sophisticated system they've got, and they are a national pioneer working with the DEFRA on it. And I know David would be delighted to talk to you about the scheme. He's a great champion of this offsetting. So if you want to hear more about it, any of you, then David would be delighted to talk to you individually or collectively.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Are there any other technical questions? No. Okay. Councillor Parry, did you want to speak?
I had.
Oh,
I
sorry.
had some questions. I had my hand up.
I got taken down. I did see it earlier on, Councillor Davick. Apologies for that.
Right. Thank you. The first one is showing my ignorance. At 1.2, it goes on about Lowland Meadow BAP, and I don't understand what that is. And then the second one question is at 1.12 and 1.13 about managing the site when the work has been done. And at 1.12, it says about management of the ponds would potentially require thinning of aquatic plants every 5 years. There is nothing in either of those paragraphs that says anything about the actual managing of the shape of the pond. My experience of this sort of pond in the past has been that they silt up fairly quickly. I wondered whether it is appropriate to ask for anything in that section, or whether that is not appropriate because of what the ponds are being used for. We've got management of vegetation and scrub and growth and all the rest of it, but and aquatic plants, but not actually of the pond itself.
Okay, thank you for that.
So can we have any more information about whether that is appropriate, whether it is going to happen fairly rapidly, particularly in light of the rainfall patterns that we get at the moment?
By all means. First thing is then BAP, which I must admit I don't know. I can speculate, but I'll let Paul tell us exactly what it is. And you're right about pond management in the future. Paul.
BAP, I think that's biodiversity action or priority, I think, my recollection. Bit one for me. Yes, it's a biodiversity action priority grassland. So basically what they're saying is that what they're trying to do is create a priority grassland lowland meadow in this location. And BAP is usually an acronym to explain that that's a priority. The future management, as I understand it, the applicant will be managing the site, both the pond, and I take the point about pond management as distinct from plant management. And I think at some point, they will then hand over to the Forest of Herts to take over responsibility, because part of the plan includes for future pond dipping platform. Well, the current applicant is not going to be doing that. It's going to be provided by the Forest of Herts at some point in the future. So I expect to be a handover process once, if it's established, like normal things like quarries and other such things. There is a handover, there's an establishment period where you get the thing up and running, then you hand it over to another party to continue on the process and manage it for its future development. So, but the county council were responsible for initial management, getting it up and established, and I think at some point in the future, 2 or 3 years down the line, they will then hand over the responsibility to Forest of Herts, who will take over that responsibility. So yeah, I expect them to do both pond management. I take the point about silting, and I take the point about aquatics. Yeah, I hope that helps.
Sort of. I think the only thing perhaps that we might want is perhaps an action plan, long term and high level, that might be worth just circulating it. I think from a point of interest for the committee, because at the end of the day, obviously this isn't the first time we'd have done it, but we must have some form of process involved. But it would be worth just distributing that down to the members, if you wouldn't mind doing that, Paul.
Yeah, okay. I've got that.
Thank you very much. Members happy with that? I'll get that one circulated, and thank you for the questions. Right, now then, any other technical questions? No? Okay then. Councillor Perry, you did indicate you wanted to speak. Do you want to speak now?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I just wanted to really speak on behalf of of Snitterfield Parish Council, together with myself, that we are extremely positive about this particular proposal. We feel it will add terrific biodiversity benefits to the Snitterfield Parish, and we would just urge all members to support the application, and we feel thrilled to have such a particular project on our doorstep, and we also feel it will help alleviate some other sort of potential flooding or extra surface water issues that have caused a few problems that drain down onto the road. So it's a thumbs up from us all.
Thank you very much, Councillor Parry. Councillor Cook.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Looking at this, it was quite an interesting report to me, because it's a long time since I've seen such a positive report, because there isn't anybody who's got anything to say against it. It complies with all the planning policies of Stratford District Council, our own policy and everything else. I think that I would just say that as far as Kenilworth and Warwick District are quite used to applications concerning newt ponds, because we've had to deal with the number for HS2. So I think it's fairly clear to say that both in Warwickshire and in Warwick District, newts are definitely top of the pecking order when it comes to small creatures, I think it's fair to say. But I do generally think...
Do they peck? I didn't know newts pecked.
Top of the pecking... Oh, sorry, yes, okay. My favourite expression. Okay, can I say, look, there isn't a planning reason for refusal of this application, so I suggest that, can I move that, in fact, planning permission be granted, Chairman?
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Cook. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Parry, do you want a second? Yes. Well, are there any other speakers who want to say anything at the moment? No? Well, I think I go along exactly with Councillor Cook on this one. I think this is a really fantastic scheme for our diversity and biodiversity in our countryside, and I'm more than happy to support it. So therefore, members, I would like to go to a vote. We have a proposer, Councillor Cook, and a seconder, Councillor Parry. Let us go to the vote. Helen, can you monitor the vote, please?
Yes. I'm just going to call out the list of members like we've done before, just to make sure that no one is missed. So we'll start with you, Chair.
4.
Councillor Dervix.
4.
Councillor Cook,
Or
Councillor Gifford,
For.
Councillor Parry,
For.
Councillor Riley,
4.
Councillor Rickards,
For.
Councillor Simpson-Vince,
For.
Councillor Warwick,
For.
Councillor Shilton.
for.
That's it. I don't think I've missed. Have I missed anybody? No.
Silence. Excellent. Right. Well, in
No,
that
that's
case,
unanimous.
then that's unanimous. So the committee therefore agrees to grant planning permission for SDC/20CC003. And thank you very much indeed, members. It's a lovely application to see. Right. There's no urgent business that I'm aware of, Helen, unless something's happened.
No. Not at
In
all.
that case, members, I would like to say thank you very much indeed. A short meeting. Let's hope they can get a few more like this. Thank you very much indeed, and take care of yourselves. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you
you.
very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.